Two of the most iconic voices in golf are back to save the day and ready to entertain Kostis and McCord. Off their rockers.
This is it. You found it. Kostis and McCord off their rockers, back with another great episode. Mike Abram, your co-host, producer from the golf agency, going to bring on Gary and Peter in just a second today. Got a great show. Super interesting. The fellas are going to talk about all things President's Cup, leading up to the President's Cup matches this week in Montreal. They'll be talking about their experiences broadcasting the President's Cup. A great story about Peter, David Faraday, and the King, Arnold Palmer, at the very first President's Cup. Peter and Gary talk about what's going on with the LIV and PGA Tour negotiations, what we know, what we don't know, what the rumor mill says. And we're going to talk about the match, the new match. That is Rory, Scottie versus Bryson and Brooks. What they think it means in regards to the PGA Tour and LIV negotiations, and how much are they looking forward to that? And don't forget, we've got a great offer for you from our friends at Golf Magazine, golf.com. It's the Inside Golf membership. There is nothing like it. What a great value. If you love golf, you're going to love being an Inside Golf member. Remember to subscribe. It's free. Like, comment, share it with all your golfing friends. Without further ado, let's get right into the show. Here we are with another episode of Kostis and McCord off their rockers. Peter Kostis, Gary McCord. Fellas, we've got the President's Cup this week. We've got more stuff going on that we don't know what the heck's going on with the PGA Tour and LIV. And we're going to have a little story time today. But Peter, why don't you kick us off? What's going on with, what are you expecting here with the President's Cup? Are we going to get a close match this week?
You know,
my
interest.
What do you think?
My interest in golf has been waning of late. Did I say that politically correctly?
Yes, I think so.
I have lost interest in golf, and therefore I have lost interest in the President's Cup. I don't have any excitement coming out of my pores for this thing. Now, having said that, I'm sure it's going to be a great event. It's in Canada, Royal Montreal, and there are multiple Canadians on the team, which should make for some interesting batonnage with the gallery. I would think that there's going to be a huge home field advantage for the Canadians playing in the Ryder Cup. So, I mean, in the President's Cup, excuse me. So, but I don't know. We have one of these every year. You know, either it's the President's Cup or the Ryder Cup. I'm a huge fan of the 2 years, 1 year off, every 2 years have a competition and let the excitement build.
Gary, what say you?
I remember in the day when we just had the Ryder Cup, and Greg Norman was at his height, his zenith in his powers, and he mandated to the tour at that time that they wanted to play. They, meaning the rest of the guys in the world, wanted to play in a Ryder Cup-like situation. And he was powerful then, as he is now with LIV, and he got them to start basically the way the President's Cup is set up right now. Peter and I were in the first one in 1994, and basically included the rest of the world, not the UK, but the rest of the world. And they put together teams, and they have now competed 14 years in this President's Cup because Greg Norman got it going. PGA Tour owns the TV rights to it. That'll give you a clue. And they've won once. They won once. Tied another one. So the record's not real good. So I can see Peter's malaise at not getting all excited about this because it really hasn't been an event. And Peter, if you remember, the best event was the tie
when they called it off in South Africa.
When Tiger and when Ernie kept making birdies in the dark, and they finally went timeout, we're done. That was the zenith of that entire thing. And I think from then it's just crept into oblivion. to where we are now. That's my opinion.
Well, I will say this, Gary, and I'm going to pay homage to our former leader, Frank Cherkinian. As I remember everything, Greg, I think Greg became number one in the world, maybe 1986, something like that, and kept it for over 300 weeks, and clearly was the best player in the world at the time. And he was dear friends with Frank Cherkinian.
Yep.
And that's where the conversation started. And then Frank went to Dean Beeman at the time, and then they figured out a way to concoct this thing because the PGA Tour was interested in making something happen, because at the time the Ryder Cup was not that big a deal. I mean, it was starting to become a big deal. Maybe it flourished more in 85, 87, 89, but it hadn't really reached the zenith like it did in 91. So the PGA Tour wanted to get their claws into team golf and maybe have some financial rewards. So it was Dean Beeman, Frank Cherkinian that put the President's Cup on the map at the behest of the current at the time the current number one player in the world, Greg Norman. So that's how the whole thing got started. But unfortunately, we just don't have the level of competition that we need to see to make it a rivalry. It's like the Yankees and the Red Sox. You can't have one team playing lousy and the other team playing great all the time and call it a rivalry, right?
Yeah,
you've got to have some competition.
This is not a rivalry. They won once. Okay, they won once since 1994. So, and in fact, Peter, I was watching like right now. The first time we did it, the Solheim Cup, is at Lake Manassas at the golf course at Robert Trent Jones. That we did the initial one, and I was sitting watching this, and all I remember was we got there, we started the tournament, and we couldn't see. You couldn't see down the first fairway 10 feet.
That's arguably
delay after delay. I think I ended up. Who was the president we were honoring the first one? Do you remember? I think I was doing an interview with.
It was George H.W. Bush.
Was it okay? It was 41 then. Okay. And
so I've got two major President's Cup memories that come to mind when somebody says President's Cup. One of them was that week.
Is it 94 you're talking about?
During the fog delay. And so
I got one.
we're sitting around.
Too. Go ahead.
And so David Faraday and I are on the putting green. Everybody's on the putting green, got no place to go, can't see anywhere.
Right.
And here comes Arnold Palmer.
Okay.
And out of nowhere, Arnold starts talking to us. Now, I got no idea why Arnold Palmer is going to walk up and talk to David Faraday and Peter Kostis. It's not. I mean, there's tons of players on the green. There's lots of dignitaries around, but he comes and talks to us, and then we start talking, and I realize he's not even looking at us. He's looking past us, and so Arnold goes, "Whoa, would you look at the Hooters on that one?" And so David turns around and looks, and it's his wife. And he turns around to Arnold, and he goes, "Yeah, I know. I paid for him."
Oh, I hope you were on the air. Were you on the air with Arnold?
No. We weren't on the air. No.
Let's take a commercial break.
That was my first one. And then in 99 at Royal Melbourne in Australia.
I remember that, yeah.
Nicholas was the captain. And so he kind of suspended a few players from the Friday morning matches because he found them in the casino at our hotel rather late into the night. And so I'm walking down the fairway. I think it was the 10th fairway, somewhere around there. And I'm following Mickelson's group. And Phil walks up, he yells at me, "Peter," and he flips me a chip. And I look down, and it's a $25,000 chip from the casino. So I said, "Thanks." And I put it in my pocket and started walking. And he ran after me. He goes, No, bring it back. That's it.
Well, why did he flip it to you?
That's the whole
a nice
point.
Little tip.
Yeah. And so my deal, if my highlights, actually my third highlight would probably be the suspension of play and calling the event in South Africa with Ernie and Tiger.
Yeah.
So that was it. Those are my three memories.
Your three President's
I
Cup
remember
memories.
now Royal Melbourne. I remember we were at the casino a couple of times, gambling and not doing very well. But I remember, you got to help me with this. One day it was 103 or something like that, and the next day it was 66 was the high. Do you remember that?
And then there were flies, and somebody from the gallery gave me this hat with wine corks hanging from it to walk down the fairways. They said they would keep the flies away. So there's like a 40-degree temperature change in 2 days.
Yeah, I remember the first day when it was 100 and whatever, and we had to do the booth, and we had ESPN was our partner there, and I had ESPN announcer up there. And you know how hot it was. We had to wear a coat and tie. So I remember commercial break after about the first half hour. I went, the hell with this. I got up. I took my pants, everything off except my underwear. And I had my coat and my tie on. And he looked at me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's hot. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting right here and I'm going to cool off." And those flies attacked me with vengeance. And all I could do was I was sitting there trying to hold on, and I'm going like this, and they're going up my underwear, and it was quite comical. Thank God, we didn't show us up there doing it. But I've never
TMI.
like that.
Very much.
It was brutal. That's the only thing I remember. And you and I leaving the hotel, we didn't gamble or something like that, and we put down all the money we had left.
That's right.
And we won.
Yeah.
We won and went out to the car to go to the airport to go back to the States. That's all I remember about that place. All I remember.
Trying to get rid of your Australian dollars. Okay, so you've got Jim Furyk leading the U.S. team. Mike Weir's got the world team. What's your best guess for result? I know you guys probably would love to see something close, as all of us would.
Well, I'm picking the internationals to win.
Are you? Okay.
Royal Montreal. I played in the. I don't know what year it was. I played in the Canadian Open there. Don't remember anything about the golf course, but they got a nice team, and I'm just pretty sure all our guys are tired and don't want to play anymore. That's kind of the way I see this time of the year. I think Peter, the boys, everybody's looking right now in December to see the match between Liv and the U.S. with the four best players. I think that's taken precedent over everything at this point.
We're going to talk about that later in the show.
I realize it's not apples and oranges because one is an 18-hole match and the other is over 3 days. But I'm going to be really interested to see what the TV ratings are for those, the differential between those two. Right? We'll see if there's how much interest there is in the President's Cup versus the match between. Yeah, plus football. Yeah.
During football. Now, what I find interesting about this, and I think it's great, I think basically the four best players in the world are getting tired of this crap that's going on. We don't know what happened a couple of weeks ago when everybody met in New York to see if they can hammer out something. No one's heard anything, as always. So I think these four guys just went, all right, the hell with that. We are going to now do this match between Liv and the U.S., and we're going to see how it goes. And we're also going to go and we're going to have TNT do it, who is not really one of the title sponsors on the PGA Tour. And if I was a sponsor of the PGA Tour of one of the what do you got 46 events, and I saw my TV ratings go down, and now I see these four best players in the world getting ready to do a made-for-television event with TNT doing it, and like you, Peter, if these numbers get anywhere near the last day numbers of any of the four majors, there's going to be some hooting and hollering going on about what are you guys doing there at PGA Tour headquarters in Ponte Vedra.
Well, this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment for the PGA Tour, in my opinion. Now does he approve for Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy to play in this event, which is unsanctioned by the PGA Tour? If so, he's condoning them doing it. Is he going to fine them if he's not condoning it? That's going to be a big issue.
I mean, the only reason, Peter, they would need a release if there was a co-sponsored event opposite that. They would need a release. Now, if
I think they still need releases even if there's not.
Yes, if there was a conflicting event, they would need a release. So all the tour has to do to stop it is have an event in December somewhere, 36-hole event the same time that this thing is going on, and then refuse these guys the right to do that, which they won't do because that would cause more problems. But I think it's really the players are not. Obviously, the players are taking over the tour and running the tour, and these four guys are outside of that. Rory had a little influence in that, but the other three guys don't. So I think these four guys are just they're pressing the pedal right now to get something done, and they're gonna shape. If this works, Peter, what if this works? Now you take it to another level. Why don't you just have a series of these? Just have a series of these going down the deal, and let's get make it a team event. Let's get Charles Barkley and let's get Michael to be the two captains. Okay, they're not talking either, so that would be good. And then every month or something, they get a genre. They get athletes. They get pick 3 athletes for their team or 4. I mean, or the next week it's famous chefs, celebrities, and they just put live against these guys every week, playing somebody else. This could get interesting. This whole thing, I think, the more I think about it, let's go this way with it. Let's say a tournament is making all sorts of money. They have a revenue stream that's unbelievable. You can guess which tournament I'm talking about, Peter. And they decide that, they don't want the tour involved anymore with what they're doing because they think they can go like one of the 4 majors. They can be autonomous and run their own tournament, get their own television, create their own revenues, do what they want, and try to get some guys to go play. And if one of these tournaments does that, then all of a sudden some other tournaments that have really high revenue streams coming in might want to do that and get rid of the tour's manipulation, let's say, of their revenue streams and how much the tour controls of their revenue streams. That is, controls the tournament sponsors that are running the tournaments. As you know, the tour does nothing more than get the players to play in these tournaments. The tournaments are run by that group, whatever it is, in Dallas and Phoenix and in Charlotte. They put up the money, they run it, they do everything. The tour just supplies the players. Well,
so does this fall under rumor, innuendo, or speculation?
Total speculation.
All of the above.
Total. But so let's say you take a situation where one of these tournaments goes out, we're going to go rogue and we're going to do our own deal and invite some players. And of course, as soon as they invite some players, there's a PGA Tour event opposite that, right? Well, now they got to get a release to go play. And you know where that's going to end up in court immediately. And that'll be the final say of who gets to play where. But you could open this thing up as I see it now. Total speculation. These are independent contractors everywhere, and they can go play wherever they want. And if you open this thing up to individuals having franchises in cities instead of the tournaments run by the PGA Tour, something like that could evolve. Do you see anything like that could evolve in that direction?
Well, it's possibility, no question. But I as a fan of golf, I have zero interest in watching celebrities play golf. I have zero interest in even the guys on cable or YouTube that are fanalists that are playing golf at great golf courses. I don't want to watch 12 handicappers play golf. I don't want to watch chefs play golf. I want to watch good players play golf. So from that perspective, I would not watch something that was involving amateur golfers. Now, that's no diss to amateur golfers. It's just that if I'm going to play with amateur golfers, that's fine. I'm not going to go watch them, but that's me. Secondarily, when you look at this thing, the tour banned players for going to live. And so they're not going to allow their players. They're going to figure out some way of fining them a ridiculous amount of money or banning them for 2 weeks or whatever the case may be to avoid their ability to go and partake in these things, right? But that said, I think, this is speculation on my part, I think this is a power play by Rory to get the ball moving in terms of trying to get some kind of a settlement between the PIF / Live League and the PGA Tour. How tone deaf can the PGA Tour be to agree to meet with PIF in New York on September 11th? I mean, seriously. I mean, does anybody down there
not good that way?
Does anybody down there have any common sense? Seriously?
Again, we don't know what's going on, and there's obviously no common sense. Otherwise, this thing would have been done a year or two ago, basically, when this thing first started. So we're just going to sit back, and it looks like we're going to sit back and we're going to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until something is said or done, which it looks. I mean, at this point, do you see any positive direction that you think they're gonna go? Do you see any unification of these tours all together to put the best players forward every week together playing? Because if we don't, it's cataclysmic at the end. We're seeing right now what the ratings are doing. They're let's say 20% down across the board for the year, somewhere between 15 and 20. And that situation's just going to get worse and worse as we go. And so I don't know where this is going to go, but it has to be done with all the best golfers in the world, because our sport does not generate enough revenue for those advertisers that want to put it on television. It just, for the numbers that are being batted around right now and what these guys are making, for the numbers they're getting across the board on Saturday and Sunday to watch golf, it's not feasible. It's not sustainable. So
if you think back to June 5th, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, and things were looking fairly dire between these two organizations. And then all of a sudden on June 6th, out of nowhere, here comes Commissioner Monahan and Yasser on CNBC announcing that they're going to merge, right? I mean, that came out of nowhere. Nobody expected that. In fact, nobody knew about it. And so I think we're right in that same situation again. What is this, October? No, September. Yeah. So it's the same thing. I see us right now drifting apart in these negotiations. I don't see us drifting closer. But hopefully we can get another out of nowhere resolution and some sort of beginning to find a way to put this thing to bed. I don't see it right now, but hopefully it could happen.
Are you guys surprised and shocked that based on this match, this Rory and Scottie versus Bryson and Brooks, are you surprised the PGA Tour, we haven't heard anything from them? We've heard nothing from Monahan on this. And what you're speculating is that Rory's pushing this. Rory wasn't happy with how he was used. He called himself a sacrificial lamb throughout this negotiation. Right. He really felt the rug was pulled out from these negotiations. Is this something, because we haven't heard anything, is this maybe something that's got them back to the table, although very tone deaf on doing it around 9/11, having these meetings in New York that we don't know anything about?
Well, I mean, conceivably it could.
Yeah, this was done for a reason. I mean, you're not going to get that time of the year after these guys play the whole year during December when they're doing other things and watching football, that they're going to throw a match together with four guys with another network and go, okay, here we go. We're going to do this. There's only one reason they did it. One reason. Okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you we can play against Liv. Liv can play against us. We'll get together network. You know, Charles Barkley is going is going to be somehow in the broadcast, so that's going to enhance it. So this is just a giant, I think, a wake up slap across the face of both Live and the PGA Tour, saying, okay, you guys won't do it, we'll go do it ourselves. And that's what they're doing, because they don't need, Peter, they don't need the tours okay on any of this. They don't. They don't. They're just played. It's like a little goofy event, played in the off season that started 100 years ago with the skins game back in '83 when they first started that. And that's first started this whole thing. Not part of the tour. Tour had nothing to do with that. They had players playing it, so it's just kind of evolved to where it is now. But now, I think, in essence, it's being used as a threat between the top two guys, Live and one of the most popular guys and the best player in the world on the American side. So there can be nothing other than that. It's not these four guys saying, "Hey, let's go play golf against each other." That's not it. That's not it. This is a point of reference.
This is going to be a marker, in my opinion, of our original concept. Remember we talked about Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, and how half of the people wanted to see Ali win, and half of the people wanted to see Frazier win. I guess you wanted to see Ali win, right?
I don't know. I got it free. I don't know. I don't know where I got it. But it's cold.
So anyway,
this
this match, half the people are going to tune in. They're going to want to see Rory and Scottie win. The other half are going to want to see Bryson and Brooks win. But I think they're all going to tune in. I think they're all going to tune in and watch this match, especially if there's trash talk going on and so on. So it's going to be very interesting as a kind of it'll substantiate our concept of we have to have two leagues and they have to meet X number of times a year in some form of competition. And then you're going to get people watching. Then you're going to get sponsorship money. Right now, speaking of best player in the world, I'm throwing you a curveball now, but Tiger Woods, back surgery again. I think it's his 6th back surgery.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, what does that portend? As a teacher, I always said that even with the car accident and all the things that happened to his leg, you can't keep having all of these body parts injured, and it's going to put pressure on the weakest link, which is his back. And obviously something has happened. I don't know what it is. I'm not privy to it. But this does not portend well for Tiger playing any kind of a regular schedule going forward. What do you think, Gary?
Well, yeah. I mean, he had a microdiscectomy because he had some nerve problems going down. So the spine and we've got soft tissue coming out of the spine. It's hitting a sciatic or something like that. So he goes in and gets it clipped and everything. But again, when you compound this with 5 previous back surgeries, including fusion and everything else he's had, it's he's getting that age of, what's he, 48 now? So the arthritis is the problem on this. And you were talking about that, and I know the rumor on the tour now is that the Champions Tour is, I don't know how many events they got, but supposedly, this is a rumor again, just total rumor, which kind of makes sense. Tiger will, when he turns 50, play in 15 events. They're going to cut it to 15 events, the Senior Tour, and Tiger is going to play in all of them, which would make sense at this particular point in time. If he dedicated himself to that, which he probably will, because he can take a cart and doing it whatever he wants. But something like this, when you start chopping on yourself that long, can he get to 50 and be able to play even with a cart? That's going to be the problem. I mean, your body can't take that much.
Well, even just a few months away from the launch of his TGL, the league that's kind of like a silly season thing that's going to
start 6 months ago or something.
It was supposed to start in January last year. Then they blamed it on a hurricane that came through. Now they're going to do it again. We haven't seen the schedule.
The arena. Then what happened?
Well, now they've built a permanent
structure. We'll do it this January.
And aren't they supposed to start like 2 months ago or something?
No. They're going to start now. They built a permanent structure in South Florida now, a real building, not a tent. And
Right.
and
Good idea.
they're going to start. They're going to start in 2025.
Start in 2025.
Yeah,
Okay.
supposedly.
Monday nights, sometime after the first of the year. It's still a little
Monday night
foggy.
against football. Monday night football. Good idea.
No, when football's done.
What's a
which
good idea?
smart. They're not that dumb. So
Huh?
it's going to replace Monday Night Football programming.
Don't take them lightly. Don't take them lightly. Yeah, it's the time of the year. I don't know about Peter's already said it, but Mike, you're kind of tired about golf and the way it's going and what's going on and the superfluous bullshit that's going on. And it's just kind of like, okay, I want to see the best players in the world play against the best players in the world. Whatever you guys got to do that. And because you're kind of in a sinking ship at the moment and you haven't got enough fingers to plug all the holes. So I hope something happens, and we hear about something happen a couple of weeks ago, which we haven't yet in the meetings. And Peter, I don't think we're going to hear anything because we haven't for a year and a half heard anything. So,
all we can do is hope that we hear something. We hit a lot of subjects, and we're going to find out what's going to happen in the President's Cup. Hopefully we'll hear more about this match. And, of course, maybe we'll get some insight as to what's going on with this PGA Tour and LIV merger. But until then, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to have Peter. He's going to give us another great Coach Kostis tip to help our games. Kostis and McCord off their rockers, a golf production. We'll be right back. If you love Kostis and McCord's Off Their Rockers, you're going to love one of the best deals you can find in golf. An Inside Golf membership from the team at golf.com. When you sign up today, you'll get instant access to a free year of Golf Magazine, a $20 gift card to Fairway Jockey, 1 dozen Strixon Z-Star XV golf balls. They're great. I'm playing them now. They're really good. And many, many more discounts on Golf Logics, True Spec, and Fairway Jockey products that will take your game to the next level. As an Inside Golf member, you'll have exclusive access to one-of-a-kind golf experiences like the one Gary, Peter, and I attended right before the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. Participants got to meet Peter, Gary, hang out, have dinner, have a drink, and a very special fireside chat at Donald Ross's historic cottage. If you want in on all these incredible offers and special access, sign up for Inside Golf today for the low, low price of just $39.99. Visit golf.com/subscription or click that link below for more information. Visit our website, KostisMcCord.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or podcast, and follow us on social media at Kostis McCord Off Their Rockers.
Hello, friends. It's Jim Nance of CBS Sports, and I urge you to like and subscribe my brothers, Kostis and McCord, Off Their Rockers right now. You'll enjoy it.
Now it's time for Coach Kostis. Peter gives us some great tips to help our games.
If you want to improve the quality of your golf swing, the technique of your golf swing, you have to practice from what I call a controlled environment. What does that mean? Well, it means you have to know that your ball position, your aim, your posture, all of that stuff that happens before you even take the club back is correct and consistent. So that means you need a practice station. And a practice station can take many different forms. This is one form here. It's 2 alignment rods, one for my aim, one for my ball position. I don't particularly like those. I don't use them that much. What I do use though is I have this piece of rope, and I'll put the rope down just on the outside of the golf ball and aim it to my target. So now I know when I put my club face down, I can see it square to the rope and I'm aimed where I want to go. What do I do with these now? Well, I can do lots of things. Oftentimes, I'll take one and put it out here so that when I look up, I get to see the trajectory that my golf ball is going to take off on. So that's another one. Also, I can take the stick, put it out here even farther, and use it to learn to hit cuts and draws to go around the stick. Now, if you don't have a rope and you're pressed for time and you can't go get something to help you with your aim, here's the simplest trick in the world. Put a golf ball 2 or 3 feet behind the ball you're gonna hit. Put a golf ball a couple, 3 feet in front of the one you're gonna hit. I can take the rope up now, but those 3 golf balls form a line, and I can simply practice hitting this club, start it back over that ball, come back down, hit this ball, send it over that ball. It's easy, but you got to make an effort. So find yourself a practice station, organize yourself before you start your swing. And if you can do that, you're going to find that your in-swing motions are going to get better just simply out of a desire to make the ball go to the target.
Remember, this and dozens of other Peter Kostis great tips are available in all of our episodes right on the YouTube channel. Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers, a golf production. We'll be right back. Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers, a golf production, is brought to you in partnership with Golf Magazine and Golf.com. Peter Kostis and Gary McCord give their one-of-a-kind perspective featuring no filters takes, irreverent humor, and unparalleled understanding of the game. You can subscribe to Off Their Rockers for free on our YouTube channel or wherever you listen to podcasts. Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers is made possible by the generous support of sponsors, including Foresight Sports, with the #1 launch monitor on the PGA Tour, the Quad Pro, and their amazing simulators. Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers isn't just a copycat golf podcast. It breaks the mold, offering premium video and audio content that entertains, educates, and connects. With Peter and Gary's friends like Jim Nantz, David Faraday, and more, behind-the-scenes stories and instruction, making each episode an adventure for those who live and breathe golf. On Off Their Rockers, the future is bold, the banter is sharp, and the fairways are limitless. We hope you enjoy Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers, a golf production. Thanks so much for watching Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers, a golf production today. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this with your golfing buddies, and hit that notification button right below so you never miss an episode. We're going to be back in a couple weeks with another new show. We'll talk about what happened at the President's Cup the end of this week. We'll talk more about the match between Rory, Scottie, Bryson, and Brooks. We'll see what happens there, and hopefully we've got some more information on the world of golf coming together with the PGA Tour and LIV. If you love golf, you're going to love your Inside Golf subscription. There's a special offer right here to take advantage of. For Peter, for Gary, I'm Mike Abram. We'll be back with another episode of Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers very soon.